Hello everyone, my name is Voodoo, and in today's video, we will be going over the best in-slot gear for Havoc Demon Hunter in both Raids and Mythic Plus. This is the gear you're going to want to chase. Alright, so welcome to my BIS gear guide. Now the way we're doing this time is I'm going to show you guys some BIS sims for single target and for Raid. Now before we get into that, of course, if you appreciate the content, you want to help support me do this, put up more content for you guys, pay my bills, stuff like that. Make sure you hit the like button, drop a comment down below, and hit the sub button. As well, if you want to go the extra mile and support me, ensure I get these content out, you can become a channel member in the description. There's tons of cool stuff, help support me. Anyways, we're going to start off with single target here. Now, shout out to Atreyan from the Demon Hunter Discord. He has done all of these sims. There's a whole sim sheet. I'm probably going to do another video on that. It's a pretty sick thing. I do want to go over that at some point, but that will not be today. Today, we are talking about pure BIS. Now, before we jump into the gear and stuff like that, I do want to say that the idea of a BIS is not really conducive to today's game. Your BIS is not really something that you can realistically achieve. Some players will be fully BIS'd out. However, with how the game works now, there's certain RNG related to gear. Some of the stuff you have to get from your Mythic Plus vault, so it's going to be a little rare. So it's not always possible to get your full max eye level BIS, and that's okay. So the best way whenever you get gear or to see what your character needs is to use stuff like raid bots, where I am right now, doing drop optimizers, doing top gear. That is going to be the best way to get the most out of your character, get the most gear, stuff like that. BIS sims are a bit outdated. They're still very useful to know what gear you should be chasing in terms of the top gear, but how gear works these days with stats is they all interact differently with each other. So one piece might be better for you if you don't have some of these things. So throwing that out there, BIS gear is a little bit of a misnomer. It's a good idea to kind of remember how this works. But with that out of the way, this is the gear that in full BIS, full absolute top gear you should be chasing. So we're scrolling down here. This is our single target build, of course, and here is the gear. Now there are a few things that I've talked about on the Havoc Demon Hunter guide. Go check that out, by the way. It's doing pretty well, but blow that up if you haven't seen it yet. Put a lot of work in that. But basically, this is going to be your best gear for single target. Now, there's a few things I'll probably touch on in a bit, but we'll go through over here. So for tier, we do want tier in our hood slot, our shoulder slot, our chest slot, and our hand slot. So these all drop from different sources. I'm not 100% sure which one drops where, I don't remember. Shoulder drops from Neltharion. These gloves are a catalyst option, dropping from the final boss. From there, I don't remember which other ones drop. I think helm is... One of these is from Magmarax, one of these is from Ziskarn, basically. So you have the option of getting tier at highest level in almost every slot. Pretty sure this time around, legs and gloves drop from the lower eye level. But again, we want to get these 450 gloves. They drop from the Mythic End Boss, and you can catalyst them. Other Mythic End Boss drops going to be the Oblivion's Immortal Coil. This is just a very high eye level belt. Definitely something you want to chase. Voice of the Silent Star is a very good cloak for us, especially in single target. It gives you a ton of stats whenever your allies take damage, as well as having critical strike and haste on it. That is going to be a big gain for us. That's from the last boss as well. And then finally, Onyx Imposter's Birthright. This is a really good ring for single target. That is a crazy amount of critical strike. 1063 crit is just ridiculous. And then you get some nice haste on top of that. And this drops from Neltharion, the second to last boss in the raid. So those are kind of all the last boss drops. From there, it's just kind of early stuff and pretty easy stuff to get, I'm not going to lie. So again, just in terms of your tier, we're using the hood. Helm drops from either Ziskarn or Magmarax. I'll throw up which one in editing. I'm not quite I don't really remember off the top of my head right now, but editor Voodoo will throw it up. Chest, those are both very good for us. Spalders, and then the gloves from the last boss. Now, we do have crafted items in our trouser slot here, or in our pants, with the Patch of Decay on it. This is going to be good in full BIS. However, I wouldn't craft this until you get your 4-piece. If you craft this early and you end up getting tier pants, and then that'll stop you from getting 4-piece, that's bad. Better to use belt or wrists before you hit 4-piece. In terms of crafted items, though, we actually have a lot in our BIS setup. So crafted items for us, going to be the boots. Now, Toxic Thorn Foot Wraps were recently discovered to be slightly over-sinning, and they are going to be about the same damage as the Slimy Expulsion boots. Now, these Toxic Thorn foot wraps will give you more haste, and they don't minus your haste in raid. As well, they give you a slight healing bonus. So I do think these are still going to be a bit better in single target and in raid. Like, you're going to want these still. However, they do about the same damage as Slimy Explosion Boots. Slimy Explosion Boots just have worse stats and also do a minus haste on you. So might feel a bit worse in raid. But this and Slimy Explosion are going to be about even. They fixed Corrupting Rage File, so this will actually start healing you now. But crafted stuff, we have the pants, we have the boots, and we have these wrists. So these are the engineering wrists. The reason we're using these over other wrist options is that these just have a ton of crit on them, and crit is, again, our best stat pretty far, pretty bar none, right? So having these is a pretty good option early on in gearing. I myself am coming into the patch with these, so I actually, coming into the patch, you have a few BIS items. So this is really good. Just a nice wrist gain. There's some other wrists that have crit and mastery or crit and haste you could probably grab, but this one just being so much crit is going to make it the most worthwhile. Finally, our best neck, again, is the Torque of Past Time. Now, this here has crit and haste on it. If you're an AoE, probably crit and mastery. But again, this is just our best neck. It has a really strong spread of our best 2 secondaries, so that's going to be the one you want. You've probably noticed by now, too, Seal of Baroness Chosen is here. This is going to be BIS only with a socket. Now, if you don't have a socket on it already, you're going to be out of luck unless you RNG roll a socketed one from raid. So don't worry too much about it. It's not that far ahead. It is going to be our best for this tier at least. There's a ring. I don't know the name of it off the top of my head, but it's from Halls of Valor. That is crit and sorry, not Halls of Valor. Uldaman. There you go. That's the one. Uldaman. That is going to be your best option other than this. It is a ring that drops with crit and haste on it, so that's pretty good. So that is going to be your best option if you do not have a socketed Seal of Baroness Chosen. So remember, the socket is the important part. Now again, this drops from the first boss in the last raid. Should be pretty easy to get if you care about getting it. But after this here, I doubt we use it. And we also don't use it in AoE, so don't worry about it too much. Coming down here, these both come from dungeons. Now these are going to be best in single target by a few percentage points. Even farming these up at 441 is going to be very worth it for you. However, they do lose out in AoE. There's no secondary stats on them, and we scale very well with secondary stats. So there is going to be a loss there. Again, this is from the Underrot dungeon. You're going to want to pick these up for raid, and we see now we have the Wafting Devotion enchant on them. In terms of trinkets, finally, we have the Elementium Pocket Anvil. This drops very early on. This is like the second boss. The Amalgamation Chamber, very, very good for us. I'm pretty sure it's not good for most other classes, so you shouldn't have much of an issue getting this trinket. Then Dragonfire Bomb Dispenser. This drops from Zaskarn. 6th boss of the raid. Very good for us again. We do a ton of crits. This does a lot of damage. It interacts with initiative. So the way you want to work this whenever you get it is you throw this out 5 seconds before you use Vengeful Retreat, which is a bit of a weird thing. I'll have another video later going over that more in depth. So those are kind of all the big gearing items here. If you want to get some trinkets that aren't from raid, M+, really, there's not a ton of good ones. Iridius Fragment's decent. Homeland Raid Horn is decent. And then Harlan's Loaded Dice is decent, but they're not as good as these two. But really, this is going to be your BIS. Now, one thing else has changed. We are using haste gems. Again, haste is just much better for us now than it was last tier. This is still a crit gem, but whatever. We don't have Lariat, so we can do crit major gems now. And haste is just really good. A lot of our damage is from procs. This is a proc. This is a proc. This is a proc. More haste means more crits here. More haste means more of your tier set. So all in all, really good ending up point there for crit and haste. So this is kind of what you want to aim for in single target. So we're going to swap over and we'll look at a Dungeon Slice sim for AoE now. So here we are for AoE, and a lot of the things here are going to be pretty similar. You notice already we have tier in the same slots, which is pretty good. We have the cloak. Now, Voice of the Sound Star does have no stamina on it. However, I personally think that the damage it gives you is so good. If you're in a situation where you're doing really high keys and the stam loss from not having stamina on this item does get you killed, you definitely swap off of that. There are some options from dungeons. I'll throw stuff up on the screen of crit mastery stuff or crit haste stuff or crit verse stuff. So really any cloak that has a major crit will be good in replacement of this if you need the stamina. We'll see how dungeons end up. I personally think that this damage will be pretty good for you. It's a lot of crit. A lot of crit is really good for us in AoE. But again, no stamina. So if you're dying in high keys and you need that stamina, you can definitely swap this out to something else. But like I was saying, we have all the tier here, same places. We still have the 450 belt. We still have the crafted pants, still with crit mastery. A few things have changed though. You'll notice our weapons are different, our trinkets are different, our rings are different. And these boots are different. So these are these slimy expulsion boots. These are better in AoE. The damage proc is about the same, but they have better stats and they reduce our haste. And haste is something we don't really want in AoE. So this does pretty good there. Toxic Thorn boots are not very far behind either. If we go down here, they're only like 700 behind. So that is very small. It's probably like less than 1%, maybe 1%. Lifebound trousers are also very close with the Shadowflame armor patch instead of the toxic patch. But so slime expulsion boots better in AoE. Toxic Thorn foot wraps better in single target. Not a big difference between the two of them in either situation, so don't worry about it. Other things I would change before we get to rings, trinket, and weapons. Actually, we recrafted our Torque of Past Time to crit mastery. So eventually down the line, you'll probably want two of these: one crit haste, one crit mastery. For now, it's not that big of a deal. You will get a spark every 2 weeks guaranteed. So don't feel too bad about missing out on a spark craft or doing something on a weird prio. You will have more than enough sparks later on in the expansion, later on in the patch, sorry. You'll get so many, so don't worry about it. Not that big of a deal, but then going up to 447 is cool. Other than that, you get crit mastery gems now as well. So again, that's another reason why you probably want to have 2 torques, so you can gem one with haste, one with crit. For the rest of them, I don't know. I mean, crit mastery is still good in single target, so, you know, maybe do that if you're doing both things, but whatever. So with that out of the way, we're going on to the biggest stuff here. So you notice rings, trinkets, and weapons, very different. So for weapons, we just have crit verse crafted weapons here. You can do crit mastery as well. That's going to be a sim angle for you. The versatility is a little bit better because of our throw glaives, of course. A little bit of survivability as well. And we just have overall low verse in this setup here. Verse, again, pretty good in AoE due to our glaives. But again, these can be crit mastery, and these both have Sovic devotion on them. There are 447 weapons that drop from the raid that have crit, high crit, and then either mastery or versatility as well. So if you don't have anything to craft your weapons with, don't worry about it. I think there's also weapons that drop from Freehold that are good, that are crit verse or crit mastery, as well as weapons that drop from Neltharian's, not Neltharian's Lair, Neltharius. There's 2 dungeons that sound like the same. Going to rings, we have a crafted ring. Again, really good ring, crit mastery. This ring here, crit versatility. This comes from Neltharian's Lair. If you have a replacement for this ring, really any ring that has high critical strike and then either mastery or versatility will be a good option for you. Again, you just want as much crit as possible here. Ringbound Hourglass being able to be crafted with high crit and high mastery. You can see here it's pretty high. It's like an even split between the two. Then it's actually going to end up being very good for us. But again, any high crit ring with either mastery or versatility will be good. Finally, trinkets. So Beacon to the Beyond is just going to be our best AoE trinket. Kind of undisputable. You kind of just need this. Drops from the last boss. Very, very powerful. Ominous Chromatic Essence is very strong for us as well, if you choose the crit option. Now, this is only the best, beating a 447 Iridius Fragment, which is our 3rd best trinket, if everybody has all the buffs. So this is going to be a bit of a sim angle. It's going to depend on what eye level your Iridius Fragment is. It's going to depend on how many buffs you have in your party. So this is going to be a bit of a variable trinket. In perfect scenarios where the entire party has the buff, you got the crit buff yourself, and then there's 4 other people with different buffs on it. This will be your best option, pretty sizably too. But if you have a 447 Iridius Fragment and not everybody in your party has all of the buffs from Ominous Chromatic Essence, then that 447 will beat it out. Now, the option between the two, right, is going to be a bit of a sliding scale depending on your eye level of the Iridius Fragment, depending on how many buffs you have. So just keep that in mind. Those are kind of the best options here for AoE. Now, there's one more thing I want to mention, and that's going to be when to actually upgrade to your tier over our old one. So here we are with one more sim. Again, big shout out to Atreyan from the Havoc Demon Hunter Discord, does all these sims. This is showing us the different things here. So the T29 is just Havoc with its tier 29 profile. This is the old Vault of the Incarnates tier set. 2 pieces plus 2 pieces is going to be a 3,000 eye level increase. All of these here are assuming heroic eye level, all right? So it's not going to be like a big change. Going to the full HTML here, we open up 2 pieces, scroll down to gear. Gear, we can see here we have a 434 hood and 437 shoulders, and then we have the 424 pants, and should be a chest, no, it should be gloves around here somewhere, and the 421 grip. So this is heroic versus the mythic eye level. So a heroic 2-piece does end up beating out the mythic one. And then a heroic 4-piece as well also ends up beating out the mythic one. Scroll down to gear here. We see heroic, 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 and finally, oh, those are wrists. Heroic. So basically, once you get your 2-piece in heroic, it's going to be better than the 4-piece from the old one. So keep that in mind. Normal will probably be pretty close too, but at that point you should sim yourself. A 3,000 increase on heroic is probably enough to make a difference. Them nerfing our Vaulting Incarnate's 4-piece is enough too. But if you get it on normal, then just run a simple sim, gear compare, see if it's better for you. But using heroic pieces, a 2-piece plus a 2-piece will beat out 4 set of old, and then 4 set of new will also beat it out. So keep that in mind. So that's going to be it for my video today. Now, I know normally I do like an outro in-game. All the servers are down right now. It's noon on the Tuesday before the patch launches, so servers are down. So you're getting me just kind of talking in front of some sims. But I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions about where to get items, stuff like that, again, drop a comment below or head over to the Havoc Team Hunter Discord. I hang out there a lot. Tons of other people do to help you out. Hope you enjoyed the video. Good luck at getting this gear. I myself am going to be in Underrot Prison this week, trying to farm both of my Krog tusks while I can. My guild is raiding 4 days this week, so I will be streaming basically everything. So if you want to watch Havoc Demon Hunter stream content, dungeons, raid, all that stuff, stick around the YouTube channel. I'll be live today, tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, maybe Sunday night, maybe Monday as well. So lots of streams this week, very busy week, but I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Now, that is probably going to be it for me today. Again, if you want to support me, hit the sub button, drop a comment, and go to the description, become a channel member. Help me out. Help me pay bills and stuff like that. So with that, I will leave you guys adieu. Good luck today. I'll see you guys later streaming. Peace. A big shout out and thank you to my channel members, Metarol, Grandpa Plays, Alexandra Concalves, Damian Polushkin, Ozguk Aiden, DHFG, Jack Gerard, It's Bulk, and Flapjack67. Big shout out to you guys. You guys help support me and make this content possible. If you want to support me as well and get some cool perks in the process, follow the link in the description to become a channel member. It's pretty sweet. There's some nice stuff there, and you help to support me to make more content.